computer. So what we did in the student class, we created a class method. I'm sorry, yeah, a class method called all students, which we need to pass in CLS. Then we opened up the student file from the relative or the absolute path to where the student.csv file exists. We use the dict reader because we have headers. We create an empty array. We loop through each student in the student CSV file. We created a brand new student object. Get rid of that. Brand new student object and appended that student to the student array, and then we returned the array. We tested it out by down here, just by running that. We have a list of student objects. All right, so now we actually have to do the exactly same thing, but for the staff. So with that, we can literally just pretty much copy this over like so. We have to import CSV, import OS. I'm just gonna copy this over. Then instead of the students CSV file, we want the staff. Then instead of all staff or all students, we want all staff. And then anywhere we say student, let's do a staff, except instead of creating a student object, we're going to be creating a staff object. So we can do that by running print that, check it out to see staff.all_staff, and we should open up over there. When we execute this, staff.py file should come in here, extract all this data, each staff member, create a new staff object, throw it into an array, and return that array. Python staff.py. Uh-oh, what happened? So we don't have a school ID for staff. We have an employee ID. So like right there, clear that. All right, there we go. Now we have staff objects instead of a student object. Okay, so let's come back to here. So it says loading staff and students into the school. Again, we're making design decisions here that might need to change as we expand functionality. For now, we want each instance of school to load in all the students and staff on its own. So in the school file, when we initialize a school in our runner, right here, we want to immediately come into here and load or call students.allStudents and staff.allStudents, because this returns an array of staff objects. Students.allStudents returns an array of student objects, and we assign that to self.students and self.staff within the school. So with that, so we have everything looks good in here. I'm just gonna clean this up. Get rid of all these print statements. Same with student. All right, so now in our school, we want to import or from student, import student class, from staff, import staff, and then right here, say, hey, staff.allStaff, and students, call student.allStudents. So let's just try this code. So say like new school or like code Platoon equals school, pass in code Platoon, and we can print code Platoon dot staff and code Platoon dot students. So if I'm clearing down here, so I imported the student class from the student file, which is on the same, in the same file or in the same directory as school. So that's fine. Likewise with staff, I'm importing the staff class from the staff file, and they're all located within the same directory. So when I run the school, list everything out, Python school, I get all the staff and all the students. But we don't want to use the school file to run. We want to use that runner. So I'm going to close this, close that. So in the runner, I'm importing school, I'm printing the school name, and now I want to print, let's actually just run this. Let's run our runner and see what happens. So Python runner, so I'm located in the classes directory, but I should be one directory higher in the school interface directory. So I need to go up one level. So I need a CD up one level. Now I can Python runner. Crap. So it says no module named school. Okay. And that is because, so I'm in the runner file, but the school file is located in the classes directory. So if you look up here, importing code from other files. This, I really don't like this, but essentially I need to go into the classes folder first, classes folder, and then access the school file to use the school. So let's see if that worked. No, it did not. It says from student, import student. So I'm in school, import school. So in the school.py file on line 1, from student, import student. So inside the school, it says from student, import student. But this is weird because like staff and student are in the same directory as school. So intuitively, it would make sense that, oh, I just have to access the student file and the staff file. They're on the same level. Like I should be able to do that. However, Python's a little bit differently. Python, you need to import items relative. So in the school file, I need to import the student and staff class relative to the file that I'm actually running. So I'm running the runner file, and the runner file is one level higher than the staff and student class. So inside the school, I need to import student and staff as if I'm in, like pretty much as if I'm importing it from the runner file. So I need to do classes dot student and classes dot staff. So what questions do you have about that? I really don't like that about Python and how it does that, but it's pretty annoying. So relative to the file I'm running, I need to import the classes as if I'm importing it from the runner file. So let's go ahead. So I'm going to talk.
Will you have to do that with person too, since student, staff, reference person?
Probably. Let's just check it out. I just want to tackle one thing at a time, one bug at a time. So here it goes. From classes.school, import student. All right, and then it says from person, import in the student. So essentially, every time I execute the runner file, it runs all these files like automatically. So from file, school, on line 1, from classes, import student. It tries to import student, so it goes into the student file and it's like, hey, on line 1, from person, import person, no module named person. So now I actually have to go to the student class And same thing, I need to classes.person. Let's clear it. Let's run that again. So now it's same thing. It goes to line school, line 2, when I'm importing classes.staff from staff, runs that file. So in staff, line 1, from person, import person, no module named person. So now I have to go into staff and do classes.person. So if I clear all that and run it, I get Richmond High. I'm going to close that. But now I'm going to come over here and just copy that. School name. And I want to print the student, or the staff and the students from the school class. So I'm printing Richmond High, and now I'm printing all the staff objects, and all the students from like so. What questions do you have about school interface 1?
Can you go back through each of the files so we can see the import statements again?
So in person is the very base, it's the base file. And we're going to be importing student or importing person into the student class. So from classes.person, import person. And that's because I'm running it from the runner file relative to the runner file. So from the runner file, I need to go into classes and then go and grab the person. And likewise with the staff, I'm using the runner file as my runner. So relative to the runner file, in order to get the person, I need to go into the classes, runner, go into the classes, and then go into the person file and import the person. And likewise with school, relative to the runner file that I'm running, I need to go into classes, into the student. So go into classes, go into the student file, import student. Likewise, go in. Likewise with staff, relative to the runner file, I have to go into the classes, grab the staff file, and import staff. If I run that, everything should be working.
I was getting mine to run, but I'm getting like on each of my import statements, it's it's basically like a red line with a problem, like kind of like showing us an error. I don't know why.
We can take a look at it offline.
Okay, thanks.
What other questions do you have?
Tom, this is Jarrell.
Hey, Jarrell.
Might be jumping the gun, but if you want to answer now, what's the purpose of passing the objects? Like, how does that work later down the line, or whatever the next use is?
What do you mean, like when you say passing the objects? What are you referring to?
Printing out like school.staff, school.students in our runner, and we're getting all these objects. Like, how do those objects work for us? Because I mean, we can't see anything if we just print them out. And originally, so our group, we had just printed out the rows before. So we ran the runner, we got to see, it listed out each person and their name, role, and all that kind of stuff. So it was like, all right, cool, we can see what's going on.
Yep.
But in this method, we're printing out each object, or instant, whatever, or object. So I was just curious, like, how does that play a role? And it might do it later down the line. I was just curious.
No, yeah, it will. So right now we're just setting up the school class to have all the necessary data from the CSVs when we do school interface 2. Because if you scroll up to the very top, our runner file is going to print something like this. And then you're going to be able to list all the students by pressing 1, view all the students by pressing 2. So when you press 1, it's going to execute a method that lists all the students. When you view a student, an individual student, you're going to type in a student ID, and it's going to execute a method that it's probably going to loop through that list of students, objects, look for that ID, and then print it out. So that we're like just setting up the school with all the necessary data to build upon and actually build like an actual user interface application. So right now, yeah, we're just literally just setting it up. There's really no point to this, just to show you like, hey, we have student and staff objects in our school. That kind of answer your question?
Yeah, no, that was
Okay.
that's all I wanted to know. And actually, and then follow-up question, with creating those objects with like the student array or like your array, and you're appending the student, and then student name, student age, or staff. With that, basically, it's just the student, class, and then you're passing arguments of each name, age, role kind of thing. Is that what's kind of happening there?
Yes, exactly. We're extracting the name, age, role from the CSV file, and we're passing those as arguments into the student class to create a new student object or new student instance.
Copy. Thank you.
Yep, no problem. What other questions do you all have?
Hey, Tom, Gio here. So on line 12 and 13 at class method, when we put down like CLS, like I'm kind of confused about that still. Can you explain that one more time?
So historically, we'd be creating instance method like def, like print name, and put self, and then like return like something. When we normally do this, we'd have to create an instance of a student, like create like an instance of the student. So like new student equals student, and then pass in some parameters. And then we would call the instance of the student and then call the print name method. So we'd have to initially create an instance of the student to access the print name method. Whereas the class method is an indicator that says, hey, all students is a class method, so I don't need to create an instance. I don't need to create an instance of a student. I can literally just call student dot, some class method, or student dot all students, versus creating an instance of a student. I don't need to create an instance of the student. I just can call the class name followed by the class method.
Got it. Thank you.
Yep, no problem. What other questions? All right. So finally, I created everything. Everything runs well. Next, I need to push this up to GitHub. So I can say git add period, and I can do git status, but it adds all these pi caches that I don't want. So I'm going to clear it and do git reset to reset everything. And I'm going to create a git ignore file, code.gitignore, and put in the pi cache. I think that should do it. Let's try that one more time. Git add, git status. Oh no, it's adding.
You've got pi
Thank you. Clear. Let's do git reset again. Git reset, git add, git status. There we go. So I'm adding everything I need. So I can git commit. So I'm actually creating a save point. Git commit instructor solution. git push origin instructor solution. So this is actually pushing all this code up to GitHub on the instructor solution branch. All right, now if I go back to here, it says instructor solution had recent pushes less than a minute ago. I can compare and poll. So I'm in Mike Platoon school interface 1, base repository, Mike Platoon school interface 1. I'm requesting to pull Tom Preet's school interface 1 instructor solution branch into Mike Platoon's school interface 1 branch or master branch. Checking for merge, conflict, no merge, good. Now I've got my pull request here, instructor solution branch. All right.